The White House announced that President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have reached an agreement to implement an immediate ceasefire for energy and infrastructure targets in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. This decision, reported by multiple sources, marks a significant development amid a conflict that has deeply impacted both nations and their economies. The White House described the move on Tuesday as the first concrete step toward establishing a lasting peace, with the hope that subsequent measures, such as a maritime ceasefire in the strategically important Black Sea and ultimately a comprehensive end to hostilities, will follow. As of now, Ukraine has yet to issue a response to this proposed framework. In what appears to be an effort to de-escalate a long-standing crisis, Associated Press reporter Zeke Miller detailed that during an extended call lasting over an hour on Tuesday, both leaders worked through a three-step plan. Miller emphasized the inherent challenge: the real test is going to be, does this sort of agreement in principle actually materialize? Do both sides halt their attacks on energy and infrastructure sites within their territories? He noted that this initial ceasefire is intended to serve as a trust-building exercise, demonstrating that both nations can transition from verbal commitments to tangible actions on the ground. This development is seen as part of a broader recalibration of U.S.-Russia relations, reflecting a shift in priorities that sees the prompt cessation of hostilities as essential, even if it risks further straining relations with long-established American allies who remain adamant that Russia should face consequences for its actions. In more detailed discussions, President Trump and President Putin reportedly concluded a more than 90-minute phone conversation where they not only agreed to pursue a limited ceasefire but also set the stage for an incremental approach to ending the conflict. This initial phase would involve a mutual suspension of attacks on energy and infrastructure targets, sites that have sustained extensive damage over the course of the conflict. Following this, the plan calls for the expansion of the ceasefire to encompass targets in the Black Sea region, a move that is viewed as critical for the restoration of economic corridors and the re-establishment of trade and communication links between affected regions. Ultimately, the long-term objective is to secure a full ceasefire, thereby paving the way for broader diplomatic negotiations and the eventual resolution of the war. Despite these promising gestures, significant uncertainty remains regarding the Ukrainian government's stance on the proposed plan. Although some Ukrainian officials have put forward alternative proposals, the ultimate success of the ceasefire will hinge on the precise details and the willingness of all parties to adhere to their commitments. As noted by Miller, transforming an agreement in principle into effective, enforceable measures on the ground will be the true challenge. Moreover, it is anticipated that, once the initial ceasefire is implemented, negotiations may extend into new regions, potentially involving mediators from the Middle East, to explore additional layers of the truce that might ultimately extend to ground operations. Parallel to these high-level diplomatic maneuvers, significant domestic and international controversies continue to unfold. In Providence, at the Rhode Island State House, protesters gathered to demonstrate support for Dr. Rasha Aloy, a Lebanese doctor whose case has become emblematic of broader issues surrounding immigration and judicial decisions in the United States. Dr. Aloy was forcibly returned to Lebanon after a federal judge issued an order stipulating that she should not be removed until a formal hearing could be conducted. According to sources, government lawyers explained that customs officials were unaware of the judge's directive until after Dr. Aloy had been deported, highlighting what many see as a grave administrative oversight in an already contentious process. This incident is part of a series of controversial actions by the Trump administration, which have included the deportation of a foreign-born individual holding a U.S. visa and the high-profile arrest of Palestinian activist Mud Kill, an incident that occurred in the wake of protests related to the Gaza war at Columbia University. Additionally, the administration has been criticized for transferring hundreds of immigrants to El Salvador even as a federal judge issued a temporary halt on such deportations. These actions have fueled public outcry and ignited debates over human rights, judicial oversight, and the ethical responsibilities of government agencies. Homeland Security officials have further complicated the situation by stating that Dr. Aloy had openly admitted to supporting a Hezbollah leader and attending his funeral, a claim that has been met with widespread skepticism and alarm by civil rights groups and legal advocates. A statement released on social media by the department suggested that these associations provided justification for her deportation. However, Dr. Aloy's lawyer, Stephanie Marzouk, vehemently denied the allegations and declared her intention to continue fighting for Dr. Aloy's right to remain in the United States, arguing that the doctor's contributions to public health and her established record as a kidney transplant specialist make her indispensable to the community. In court filings, the Justice Department has outlined its reasons for deporting Dr. Aloy, though a federal judge has since sealed these documents, limiting public access to the full details of the case. Reports obtained by major news outlets indicate that Dr. Aloy possessed extensive photographic evidence on her phone, including images related to Hassan Nasrallah, the controversial leader of a Lebanese militant group, and depictions of Hezbollah fighters and martyrs accumulated over a span of 3 decades. These revelations, first reported by the Boston Globe, have added layers of complexity to an already polarized debate over national security, immigration policy, and civil liberties. Dr. Aloy's case further intensified when it was revealed that she had been granted her visa on March 11 and had arrived at Boston Logan International Airport shortly thereafter. Her detention, which lasted at least 36 hours, and the subsequent legal motions filed by her family underscore a deep-seated frustration with what is perceived as a systemic failure to adhere to judicial orders. U.S. District Judge Leo Sokin, who issued an order for an in-person hearing, later observed that Customs and Border Protection officers at Boston failed to receive the crucial notification in time, effectively nullifying the intent behind the judicial directive. Prior to receiving her H-1B visa, Dr. Aloy had already established a respected career with fellowships and residencies at several prestigious U.S. universities, and she was set to begin a new chapter at Brown University as an assistant professor of medicine, a move that underscored her professional achievements and the potential loss to the community resulting from her deportation. The spokesperson for Brown University stressed that Dr. Aloy was not merely an employee but an integral part of Brown Medicine, a not-for-profit medical practice that operates independently while maintaining a close affiliation with the university's medical school. This institution, known for its commitment to community health and academic excellence, now faces the challenge of replacing a dedicated specialist whose removal has sparked not only legal but also ethical debates on campus and beyond. In a passionate outcry that resonated through rallies and social media, demonstrators chanted slogans demanding justice and accountability. We want justice. How do we want justice? Bring back Russia. We are now saying, bring Russia back. We want justice. How do we achieve this? How do we get our message out? They proclaimed that despite the administration's aggressive tactics, such as inciting violence, targeting students and workers on campuses, and intruding into the personal lives of immigrants by scrutinizing their phone records, they would continue to take to the streets. The protesters declared that they would not be silenced or forced into submission, emphasizing that their commitment to defending their communities and opposing what they characterized as a pattern of political repression was unwavering. This protest is not seen as an isolated incident but rather as part of a larger struggle against policies that many believe suppress dissent and curtail individual freedoms. Critics argue that the deportation of Dr. Aloy and similar actions reflect a broader governmental trend of marginalizing voices that challenge the prevailing narrative. As the debate continues to unfold both in courtrooms and in public squares, the issues at stake, ranging from national security to human rights and the integrity of judicial processes, are prompting calls for more transparent and accountable governance. In summary, the developments concerning the ceasefire agreement between the U.S. and Russia and the controversial deportation of Dr. Rasha Aloy illustrate two distinct yet interconnected facets of contemporary global and domestic politics. On one hand, there is cautious optimism about the possibility of reducing international tensions through carefully negotiated ceasefire agreements. On the other hand, contentious domestic policies and enforcement actions continue to fuel public discontent and raise important questions about justice, fairness, and the protection of civil liberties. Both scenarios underscore the challenges inherent in balancing national security, diplomatic strategy, and individual rights in an increasingly polarized political landscape.